Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Nick from Noob Kill coming at you with another video today. So guys, welcome back to Nick's Picks. This is where I give you guys my NFL predictions. This is gonna be for week 7. Now last week for week 6, the past couple of weeks we haven't been doing so well, and this is gonna be our redemption week. So last week we did have 4 teams with the bye, guys, and I believe that was the Bills, Bengals, Dallas Cowboys, and the Seattle Seahawks. This week the teams with the byes for week 7 is gonna be the Lions and the Texans. Now, of course, Thursday night we had an awesome thriller game. Honestly, all the Thursday night games have been pretty intense this year. But of course that the Oakland Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs, the ending of that was mad. But of course, let's move on to our first game, and that's Tampa Bay versus the Buffalo Bills at home for Buffalo. Now, Buffalo Bills, we did say they did got the bye last week, and Tampa Bay, they did end up losing against the Arizona Cardinals, and the Cardinals were looking crazy last week. So I do understand that Adrian Peterson, Larry Fitzgerald was playing amazing. The team was just happy. But they were losing in the beginning. Jameis Winston did go down. What's his name? Fitzpatrick had to come in, and they marched their way back without Jameis Winston. Fitzpatrick had a couple good plays, you know what I'm saying, and they actually only lost, I think, by 5 points. But with that being said, I know Jameis Winston is playing. He has a shoulder injury, I believe. But if they give him one nice hit and they take him out, I don't know, man. And then the Buffalo Bills, they're that team, man. You know what I'm saying? I said this before. They're that team that when they play a team like a very top tier team, you think, they're not gonna win this game 100%. They're gonna lose. They end up winning that game, and then when they play some team that they're like, okay, they just beat 2 high top level teams like Broncos and the Falcons, they're gonna easily beat the Bengals, and guess what? They end up losing against the Bengals. Now, I really want to see Buffalo win this game, and I'm gonna give it to them right here, and they do have the spread for them by 3. So I'm gonna give it the home because they did have the bye as well, so hopefully they're well rested, and that week off doesn't make them have any rust. But that being said, our next game, this is gonna be a very good game as well. A nice divisional matchup, the Jets versus the Dolphins. Now, I know it's like, Nick, you're saying this is a good game, the Jets, but the Jets have been surprising the last 3 to 4 weeks. They played against the Patriots last week. They did lose. Honestly, guys, you know me, I'm a Patriots fan, but I honestly thought the Patriots should have lost that game. That call for Severian Jenkins, I get it. It did fumble out. We got a prayer, man. That was like the biggest prayer that got answered. I get that it was the rule, so you can't really say like it didn't happen, but still, the Patriots played terrible. They had who was it? McCown, I think, is the quarterback. He had about like 300 passing yards. But then the Dolphins, they surprised me in even more. 2 weeks in a row, they barely put a touchdown on the board, and guess what? Last week they made the comeback from 17-0, I believe was the score, and they won against the Falcons. Yeah, they beat the Falcons, and I believe it was in Atlanta as well. So that was shocking. I'm gonna give this one to the home team again. I know that the Jets did, I guess, should have won last week, but still the defense played very nice for the Dolphins. Sue was getting some big tackles and stuff like that. I'm gonna give this one to the Miami Dolphins. Let me go ahead and change my I guess pen size. It's a little too thick. But moving on to our next game, we do have the Tennessee Titans versus the Cleveland Browns, and the Browns, man, they had their other second line quarterback because they benched Kaiser, and he looked even worse, man. He looked even worse. And the Titans, they did go ahead, and I think they won the Titans did win last week against the Colts in that Monday night game. Mariota did not look good running around, but still they did win that game. They were losing, they were trailing and stuff like that. They had that, it was like Henry had that like 72-yard touchdown to finish the game. The Browns are 0-6. I don't see them getting their first win even though they're at home, so we're gonna go with the Tennessee Titans on that game. Moving on to our next one, this is gonna be a great game as well. The 1 o'clock games are popping, man. They're actually lit. Of course the Sunday night game is gonna be insane too, but we got Green Bay versus the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Saints, they played out of their mind last week. I thought they were gonna hands down get destroyed by the Lions, especially how Matthew Stafford was like moving the line, changing plays at the line, and the defense looked very good. And of course, New Orleans, their defense has not been the greatest this season, but last week their defense looked killer. They got a bunch of things. They ended the game by swatting the ball, I think, from Matthew Stafford. That was nuts. But then Green Bay, they did take their biggest injury of the season, and it's not what possibly that's gonna be the biggest injury for the team that they got this year, and that was Aaron Rodgers going down. I think he broke his collarbone, I believe. And that being said, they do have that quarterback. He didn't play so well last week. I don't see them playing better, and I feel like New Orleans is just on that roll right now. They haven't lost. I think they won their last 2 games They won against the Panthers 2 weeks ago, I believe. That was week 5. Moving on to the next one, we got the Colts versus the Jags. Now, Jags, Leonard Fournette, I believe, is ruled out. He's not going to be playing this weekend, but still, I don't see the Colts winning this one. They are at home. I don't know, man. It's scary, man. The Jags, they lost last week against the Rams, but before that, they played amazing against, I think it was the Steelers, like 2 pick sixes, 5 interceptions on Ben Roethlisberger. They always have like one insane game, and then the next week they lose. But I don't know. They're coming off a loss. They're in the Colts. Brissett is looking better, but I'm still gonna give this one to the Jags right here. Now, our next game, like I said, another 1 o'clock game that is gonna be lit, and that's gonna be the Rams versus the Cardinals. Now, the Rams, they won last week against the Jags, and then the Cardinals, they did win against the Buccaneers, and the Cardinals are just looking like a new refreshed team. Like in the beginning of the season, I was really thinking this team's not going to go far, man. The way they're playing, Carson Palmer looks terrible, especially in week 2 when they got the overtime win against the Colts. It was insane. So I didn't think they were going to go that far this year, but now they added Adrian Peterson. I know it's just one player, but that one player has brought so much energy back. Larry Fitzgerald is playing out of his mind, but end of the day, the Rams defense is pretty insane. I'm gonna give this one to the Rams. They are at home. And then moving on to our next one, the Bears, they did win in overtime against the Ravens. And then of course the Panthers, they did lose in that Thursday night game last week. And that Thursday night game, the Panthers had so many chances. They had so many chances to win that game, and they still lost. But I still see that the Panthers winning this one against Chicago in Chicago. Now this one is gonna be interesting. We got the Ravens versus the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings last week, they did play against Green Bay, took out Aaron Rodgers in that game, and they won that game. I feel like kind of like that. They did play all right. They did drop 23 points on Green Bay, but then the Ravens, they did lose against overtime against the Bears, and that was pretty shocking. I know Trubinsky had a great game. He had the game-winning touchdown, I believe, but still, I'm gonna give this one to the Minnesota Vikings. They're playing at home. Now, Dallas Cowboys, they are coming off the bye right here. And of course, they are going to be playing against the 49ers, the only other team beside the Browns that are winless this season. And I think they're still going to stay winless. Dallas is coming off the bye. Yes, Zeke is not playing, but I still don't think that San Fran can go ahead and win against Dallas. All right, moving on to our next one, we got Bengals versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers went ahead and gave Kansas City their first L of the season, and of course, the Raiders followed up on that. But that catch by Antonio Brown, where it bounced off that guy's head, caught it with his left hand, and then that was mad. I saw that play live, and I was just like, yo, this is insane. And then of course, the Bengals did come off the bye. They did win, I believe, 2 weeks ago in week 5 against the Bills, but I still take the Steelers over the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this one is a tough game. And you can see the point spread is 1 point for Denver, but last week Denver played horrific. They played disgusting. They lost to the Giants that were winless, and they had no Odell Beckham Jr. or Brandon Marshall. So their top 3 receivers done. Their top 3 receivers were out. They basically, the best player for the Giants on offense for, I guess, their receiver crew was Evan Ingram, and he played out of his mind. But still, that defense is supposed to be the best defense in the game, or one of the best. It is one of the top tier defense in the game. You're playing at home, Mile High. You're playing against a winless team. You should have won that game, hands down. Now we move on to the Chargers. This game is huge. This is a big division game, of course. And of course, you remember flashback to week 1, the Chargers versus the Denver Broncos. Chargers end up losing that game from a missed field goal. And the Chargers didn't win their first game until 2 weeks ago against the Giants, and then they played pretty good against the Raiders last week as well. So they're on a 2-game winning streak. Denver gave up a big loss. Trevor Siemian did get injured. I think he's still gonna play though, because he did come back in that game. But Denver is they look lost. They got to find the pieces again. This could be a bounce back game, but I'm gonna do this one to the Chargers, man. I think they have the momentum with them. I think that they have that, like, it's stuck in their head, like, yo, we could have beat this team in week 1 and we lost from a missed field goal. So I'm gonna give this one to the Chargers against the Broncos right there. And then lastly, our last 4 o'clock game is gonna be the Giants versus the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Seahawks is one of the 4 teams last week that did get a bye, and I believe 2 weeks ago they did win against the Rams. I believe it was a low-scoring game, but hey, they every time they play the Rams, they usually lose, so it's surprising that they won this time. And the offense doesn't look that good for Seattle, but of course, the Giants, they are coming off that very, very nice win off the Denver Broncos. I guess a morale boost because, yo, top 3 receivers are gone. You have no wins. You go to an opponent's team's home and you beat them. You beat them hands down. But now, this is another top tier defense team. Can they do it for 2 weeks in a row? I don't think so. I'm going to give this one to Seattle. I'm giving it to the Wade team. Now, we got one of the biggest games of the weekend. We got the Super Bowl rematch. You know what I'm talking about. The Falcons versus the Patriots. And everything that everybody's been talking about, and I've been saying it as well, the Patriots defense has been horrendous. We just talked about earlier, they let Josh McCown throw 300 yards on that defense. If they have played the exact same way they played last week, Matt Ryan is going to throw for like 400 plus 500 yards easy on that defense, man. So many weapons on that team. They got a run game as well, so there's so much threats on that team. But of course, New England does have our great offense. And this, like I always say with New England, this is where my bias comes in. I'm scared about this game though. We haven't won a game at home this season just yet. But the Falcons, they did lose last week against the Dolphins, man, and that was pretty bad. But I feel like we can hopefully clutch this out and of course win the game again. Stephon Gilmore is out once again indefinitely with his concussion and ankle, but I still think the Patriots, that defense, this is the weekend they're gonna shine, man. Everybody's been talking about them. They've been playing terrible. This is the weekend that they finally figure out what they got to do and they find themselves, and they're gonna play a lot better in that offense. Chris Hogan is back as well, so yeah, I'm gonna give it up to the Patriots up in here. Let's get it. You know what I'm talking about. And then finally, we got our Monday night game, and that's the Redskins versus the Eagles. Eagles did win last week against the Panthers, and then the Redskins, they won by by like a fraction. They almost lost against the 49ers, and like we said, the 49ers are the only other team beside the Browns without a win, and that shocked me like crazy. I thought that was going to be a landslide, but I don't know, man. This one is going to be tough, and I'm going to go ahead and give it to Mr. Carson Wentz, man. That guy is playing out of his mind right now. The Eagles are playing very nice as well, and they're playing at home. So, yeah, guys, those are my picks for Week 7. Like I said, this is redemption week, guys. I feel these ones. I feel very confident about these picks. But, yeah, guys, if you guys agree with me, go ahead and leave a like on this video. And if you guys don't, tell me in the comment section below. Go ahead and rebuttal with each other. Talk about these picks. Tell me who you guys think are going to win and tell me why. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys have an awesome Super Bowl. Hopefully you guys have an awesome Sunday of watching football and getting ready for that Super Bowl rematch. You know what I'm talking about. But thank you guys so much for watching. Always stay hype, and I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.
What's up?